At some point, we've got to stop pretending this is just jokes, because what's happening between Jim Jones and Cameron right now isn't random, and it's not accidental either. This keeps resurfacing for one reason. Unfinished history plus new platforms is a dangerous mix, and every time one of them touches the past, it turns into another public moment that forces everybody to pick sides. This time, the spark came from an interview, but the fallout revealed something way bigger than just words. Now, before you leave any comments, please make sure to watch the entire video. Jim Jones recently sat down for an interview on the No Rap Cap podcast. While discussing Harlem and Big L, the conversation drifted into old territory, the kind of territory that never stays quiet. Jim made a claim that immediately caught attention, that Cameron was scared of Big L's brothers. Now that's not just commentary. That's a statement that challenges how people remember Cam's standing in Harlem. And once something like that is said publicly, there's no such thing as letting it slide.
Dame impact in Harlem was nothing. Not to say it like that. Dame came up under hustlers. That impact was it. He was a little dude when it came to hustling in Harlem. He wasn't not no Rich Porter, none of that type of stuff. He wanted to hustle for niggas like Rich Porter and shit like that. Dame from the East Side. The East Side is different from the West Side. Now for the East Side, Dame was a big deal to us because we were little. He was coming from the West Side, little car, jewelry, and all that. So when you're young, he's looking like Rich Porter, but in reality, he was like, just go to the store.
He canceled out the street side of it and go into the music business of it. What was his impact with Dipset at that?
He didn't have no impact with Dipset. Dipset, we made our impact on our own.
When y'all came over to Rockefeller, did y'all bring a certain energy that kind of ruffled the feathers of like state property and people like?
When we came over to Rockefeller, it was all love. Everybody in the studios doing music, state property, Bleak and Diplomats. Everybody was doing music. That shit ain't started until they went through all that. The dude said Cam took over the rock, huh? Right. Talented. He was a dancer. And Mace didn't excel at the rapping really to after high school they started getting on and shit like that, and then he excelled and started getting on first and signed first, and then I'll help Cam and everybody get on and shit like that. But as far as making a name for themselves in the street, nobody had no name in the street like that. Big L. Right. Big L had a name for himself. He was rapping early. He was signed early. He had some dangerous ass brothers. They was uptown really shaking and moving and shit like that. You digging? That's not my part of town. That was uptown. Well, yeah, Cam used to be scared to death of them niggas to the point he didn't want to come outside. I didn't understand it because I'm from downtown. You heard? We had our own set of killers.
That one comment was enough to reopen everything. Here's the part people need to understand. Cameron's reputation wasn't built online. It was built in real time, in Harlem, alongside Big L, through Children of the Corn, with names that still carry weight. So, whether that fear narrative is true or not, that's not for podcast audiences to decide. That's for Harlem. But Cam didn't respond like someone confused. He responded like someone insulted. Instead of a long explanation or a denial, Cam took it straight to Instagram. And that's where the tone completely changed. He said, "How you worried about me when your heat off and your rent due? I heard it was 7 degrees in the Bronx last night." That's not a general insult. That's oddly specific. Jim responds in the comments, "Go do your shoe, punk." Cam doesn't let up. "What's wrong, Capo? Your heat off too? I know it's hate for you to be 50 years old with no heat. Watch your Zell, bro. I got you." Then Cam said this, "But my heat on and I'm warm. You 50 years old, tough and cold. But dead ass though, Capo, your heat off for real?" At this point, it's not trash talk anymore. It feels like Cam knows something. This is where the situation stops being funny. Cam goes as far as claiming there's video of Jim trying to trigger the heat system in his own studio, even chasing his landlord over rent. Now ask yourself something honestly. Who would have access to information like that? That's not fan speculation. That's not internet gossip. That's insider level detail, which means the real problem here might not be Cam at all. It might be that someone inside Jim Jones's circle is feeding information outward. And if that's true, that's a way bigger issue than Instagram jokes. Then, as expected, 50 Cent steps in. He says, "Damn, I hope you can all chip in and get the heat back on." Then adds, "Damn, Jim mad with all this pressure. I hope he's all right. Cam is laughing at him. Maybe they can start a fire and all stand around it." That's 50 doing what 50 always does, turning tension into spectacle. And once he enters, the situation officially shifts from personal to public entertainment. Let's be clear about something though. This is not street beef. Nobody's pulling up. Nobody's squaring off. Cam knows where Jim records. If this this were real, it wouldn't be happening in comment sections. What we're watching is media friction, podcasts, clips, reactions, engagement. And as unfortunate as it is for Dipset fans, this dynamic isn't new. These two aren't reconciling. That chapter is closed. Now, before we go any further, if you rock with the content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications for more hip-hop news like this. It really helps the channel grow. So here's what I really want to ask you. Forget the jokes. Forget the insults. Are you more concerned about what was said publicly, or the fact that someone close enough to Jim Jones clearly knows what's happening behind closed doors? Because internet beef fades fast, but internal leaks don't. Let me know in the comments. Is this just entertainment, or does Jim Jones have a serious trust issue inside his own operation?